All right, welcome back, guys. Cody Bellinger had the day off today, right? I think shocked the whole broadcast. They talked about that. Grisham Bonds was in center field. No surprise there. I think he had an 0 for 4 day today. Batting average dropped to 280. Ops is still 1,000 right now. You have the MVP in Aaron Judge in right field. No surprise there. Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt duking it out for first base or DH. What do? Guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but what it meant, Jake, Jasson Dominguez, the 22-year-old rookie, as they like to call him, 3 for 4, 3 bombs, 7 ribbies. His batting average has skyrocketed to 250. His ops, 802. The question, the prompt, is Jasson Dominguez the superstar that they call him maybe a couple years ago, this huge prospect in baseball? He's now played multiple days in a row. And the question now is what's next? Is Aaron Boone going to say this is a pencil in? Similar to what he did, right, with Trent Grisham, where he's like, if he's going to play like this, he's playing every day. I say yes. I think right now what Jasson Dominguez is showing from both sides of the plate, that was a huge surprise to me. We looked at the long-term splits. We're going to dive into those later in this show. I mean, probably in a few minutes here. But Jasson Dominguez is showing everything. He's showing improvement defensively, which is a big part of this. Can he play left field? Can he field his position? But also, Jake, when you see somebody pop off the screen the way Dominguez did with Pop, yeah, he's a must play. What say you?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt like he was a must play before. I mean, the guy is 22 years old. You can't just not play him, you know? But I also think the thing is about Dominguez, Gary, is that when you look at his defense, he has improved. And that was really the only argument to not play him, right? I mean, really, when you think about it, that was the only argument that people were making. His bat has been better than Bellinger's entire career as a Yankee. So there's not that argument there. It's been defensive. And to me, it goes along with what you've been saying. I don't really, if your defense is not horrible and you're raking or just you're contributing with the bat, I can live with that. It's when you don't have one or the other at all, I can't live with. And I can live more so if you have the bat and you don't have the glove, but I can't live at all if you don't have the bat and you have the glove. You know what I mean?
So that's the question is someone is not going to play. Now, mind you, look at our outfield right now. Trent Grisham he's not sitting right now. The way he's playing, I know he had an 0 for day today.
Yeah,
he's not
had a
sitting.
Hit taken away at the 8th inning again. We're doing that.
Looking at the totality of what Grisham's done so far this year, yes, you can look at his career numbers and say, all right, well, we can maybe put Grisham back on the bench. But Aaron Boone, what he said was that we're playing this guy. I have confidence in him to play. So I assume that Grisham is going to play for this team every day. Maybe he's going to have a couple days off, right? Maybe he isn't. But now you're leading into who comes off the field. And I think a lot of people in our comment section, and maybe I'm wrong, I'll give them the opportunity to speak for themselves, but Cody Bellinger is hovering around 200. Now, he's absolutely trending up, and we've talked about on the show how his defense pops off the screen, specifically in center field, a very important position for this team. So there's going to be a good player that's left on the bench every day. And I will say this is my real conclusion about this. Jasson Dominguez is your top prospect, the guy that you said you were protecting, right? He and Anthony Volpe. When he performs, he's got to take precedent over everything else you're doing, regardless of how other players are trending. If your top prospect is showing, I'm performing, in my opinion, this is where Aaron Boone has to step in and say, this is his job to lose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of just goes along with what we've been saying, though. Now you have an issue. This is why we talk about it. It's not just because we're dense and we think that anybody can play any position, but this is why you want to get the ball rolling and see who can play where, because now you have this problem where you're paying this guy a lot of money who's probably going to be back next year in Cody Bellinger, and it creates an absolute logjam. Like what? You now aren't going to sign Trent Grisham because you can't sign him because you have Bellinger already. Then you got Jasson Dominguez, and you got Spencer Jones waiting. Oh, by the way, can't forget about Aaron Judge, and you're still going to pursue Kyle Tucker. This is why what we talked about will continue to be talked about because it is relevant. It's why, hey, Cody Bellinger is a better outfielder than Dominguez. If there was any way that they could get Dominguez to play second or get Dominguez to play third or something along those lines, they would really be helping themselves out. And that's my issue. I understand it's a lot to ask, but my issue is it doesn't feel like there's any sort of... I mean, I just don't think they've taken any sort of initiative there. I think they're very set in their ways. This is a guy who's this guy, right? Ben Rice, if he were to play third or second, it frees up the DH spot for Judge. There you go. Now Judge doesn't have to play in the outfield. Or you could just have that a rotational DH spot. Or you could just have the lesser outfielder defensively and Jasson Dominguez be your DH. But no, this is the problem. And again, keep this in mind. We don't know what guys can do and what they can't do, right? We have an idea because they haven't played there or whatever, but we've seen guys, like people said, oh, Bryce Harper can never play first base, right? And all of a sudden he ends up playing first base. And I bring it up
Ray
all the
C
time.
wants to know if Cody Bellinger can play second base.
No, he can't, and here's why. I have a theory here. Well, not a theory. I mean, if you know baseball, he's left-handed. That would be ridiculous to play.
No, but it would be pretty
base.
funny. But this is okay. So basically where we are right now is everyone can sort of draw the conclusion. The one player that's shown offensively, that's the most important thing. Can you hit? You're an outfielder. We need you to hit. You're not brought on this team to be baiter. That's not what Bellinger's role was. He was supposed to be bringing the bat. They essentially, I know people talk about the trade and what we gave up for him. It wasn't a trade. We took the money. We're going to take the $25 million. The Cubs didn't take hardly any of it. We're going to give you something in Poteet that we don't feel like we need at all. We're going to take that money. Don't worry about it. We think he's going to hit New York. He shows up to New York. So far, he's hitting around 200. And the top prospect in your entire system is now doing this, going up. And we've mentioned the splits. I'm going to read them for you guys. Against left-handed pitching, so far in his career, not just this year, he's hitting 105 against left-handers, 0 homers, career, 16 Ks in 38 at-bats. That's not a large sample size, but if you look at the numbers, he's essentially striking out every other at-bat. That is not good, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you look at what he's doing against right-handed pitching, he's over a 300 hitter, right? So again, not a huge sample size, 2 homers, 8 ribbies, but Jasson Dominguez against right-handed pitching has been everything you would want. But the question is he a switch hitter? Should he play every day? Because again, you look at JP Sears is starting tomorrow for the Sacramento A's, a left-handed arm. Do you play Jasson Dominguez? And at this point, given what he's shown today and the day prior, I feel you have to. You have to ignore the splits, give him some type of runway to see what he does. If he sinks, you can pull back the reins. But right now, what Jasson Dominguez did today, I don't think there's any other player that could have played in his spot today as a starter that would have done that. So that's what we're hoping for. That's what people talk about when they say, oh, Mickey Mantle, right? They're talking about the combination of power and speed. Yeah. We see that now. Michael K. raves every day about his speed, not his power, his speed. And then a couple days later, he gets multiple starts in a row, and you see him leave the yard 3 times, one from each side of the plate, is incredible.
Yeah, it's funny. I see in the comment section about Stanton. I just think with Jasson Dominguez, I mean, we've talked about it. I have my take. You have your take about his switch hitting. I do agree with the broadcast and the post game because I did actually get a chance to watch the post game, and they were explaining how Dominguez is looking better in his right-handed at-bats, and they were saying that he's not this bad statistically. Like in the minors, he was never hitting this poorly. Otherwise, he would have just given it up altogether. And so their argument was now he's starting to see, and you're starting to see him swing a little bit better, and now he got his first home run against a lefty from the right side, and it makes you wonder, okay, can you build off this? I think really it's simply put with Jasson Dominguez. You have a guy that can play every single day, okay? Figure out a way to get him in the lineup. Same with Grisham. one of those guys, the wheel is going to fall off at some point. There's going to be probably a slump. And then you could probably be like, okay, maybe we don't have to force Grisham in if he's hitting 220, right?
So essentially, Dominguez is like your first-round draft pick. Mm-hmm. You have all your stock into this player. Mm-hmm. You should be giving him more opportunity than the other players. Yes, even more opportunity than players you're paying $25 million to.
I
now,
agree.
Again, I'm rooting for Cody Bellinger to play more than probably anybody. But if I see your top prospect in the sport playing like this here in the short term, yeah, I want to see what he does. And I'm not just going to put him on the bench because we pay another player a lot of money. No, I need to see what this guy's going to do for the long term. And then Trent Grisham, what he's done, he's earned a spot to play every single day. And then the other spot is Aaron Judge. He's playing. So that's the way it is sometimes. Maybe you are highly paid. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you are a vet that the Yankees feel like we really trust his defense. I would assume so. Cody Bellinger's still a really good baseball player, but does he pose as much potential as a Jasson Dominguez if he plays well? No. If Jasson Dominguez cements himself as a starter for this team, even a starter, not just a great player, it unlocks so many things for the Yankees going forward in the long term. So I think this is a no-brainer, the conclusion here. Jasson Dominguez should be a starter tomorrow. It doesn't matter if Sears on. It didn't matter who was pitching. I think this player's got to play, and you just see what you have. And I think Boone will do that. I'm going to give him somewhat of the benefit of the doubt.
I am too, because I know a lot of people are already chalking it up as, oh, yeah, Aaron Boone's not going to play Jasson Dominguez tomorrow. I'm like, he just had 7 RBIs. He's playing Jasson Dominguez tomorrow. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get to some super chats. I know we're way behind. We didn't want to take the conversation off of Dominguez. We felt he deserved it. Mm-hmm. And in Apex with the super says 2 more like this and Will Warren could be Rodon Jr. Very impressive. Not a chance, but this is something, Apex, and Jake, I'm going to kick this back to you because it comes back to confidence. I know you can watch a player go 7 1/3, punch out 7, give up 1, and say, wow, you look really confident. Well, what player in baseball pitches like that and doesn't? The question is how is he going at hitters? Is it 0-2 and then he nibbles back to 3-2 and then he has to make a pitch? And now you see hard contact. Or is he trying to put guys away early and pitching to contact early in counts? I saw more of that today, which is the pitcher that Will Warren has to be.
Yeah, I think part of him wants to be that punch out 13 guys type of, strikeout pitcher. Yeah. And you see it, and that's when the mistakes happen. But I think just being in that clubhouse and seeing how Max Fried goes about his day, look at how dominant he is, and he strikes out 7 guys, and that's considered a huge deal, And I feel like Will Warren today, in a weird way, was kind of like that, was okay with giving up that soft contact. I actually disagreed with Boone taking him out and putting in Mark Leiter Jr. You have a 10-run lead. Let the guy continue. He gave up 2 really soft line drives. I mean, just to me, I wouldn't have taken him out in that. But the point being is that I liked what I saw today because that, to me, while missing bats is great, I'd rather have a guy, and we've talked about this so many times, in the bullpen that is going to miss bats. I'm okay pitching to contact when the name of the game is for you to go length as a starter. That's all your job is. Go length. Don't give up too many runs. Go length also kind of goes without saying, right? Because if you're going into the 7th inning, you probably haven't given up too many runs. So I really liked what I saw today out of him. I think just because of the off day, Boone wasn't going to give it a chance in hell for him to pitch the whole game. I think he wanted to use somebody. Didn't want Leiter Jr. to be rusty or whatever it may be. But I disagreed with him taking him out. And I liked what I saw today. He did nibble a little bit. He's still Will Warren, no doubt about it. Thought there were multiple times where he could have gone after the hitter, was okay. Kind of, that first walk where he let his first base runner on, then proceeded to give up the hit, broke up the no-hitter. I felt like that, to me, was on brand for him because typically it's like he flies too close to the sun. And instead of just diving into the sun and being aggressive, he just is like, oh, I'm too close. I'm not even. He views every pitcher as is gonna burn me up, and I see that, and so I think the nibbling is still there, but he's finding other ways to work around it. So I thought this is a very informative start. And if this is his game plan moving forward, this will work, Gary. This will keep you around a 4.5 ERA, and that's good enough to be the number 5 starter in a rotation.
Yeah, and certainly I don't want to put all the responsibility on Will Warren. When you're 4 or 5 starter, and I think Will Warren is best described as a 5 right now,
yeah,
your offense has to come to play. There can't be any 2, 3. You can't put up 3 runs and expect Will Warren to go out and win you a game. But when Will Warren looks up and he sees a 5 spot, you know, you're scoring in the 6th, you're scoring in the 7th, you're scoring in the 8th. Well, Will Warren can look up and say, let me start attacking the zone, right? I maybe don't have 99, 100 miles an hour. I'm not going to blow guys away like a Paul Skeens. But when I see runs up on the board, I don't have to be perfect. That helps too. So let's put somewhat of the responsibility on this offense. When you see Will Warren out there, or any prospect for that matter, and you want them to have confidence, don't put up 2 runs and then ask them to be perfect. They give up 1 2-run jack and they lose the game. So it's a lot of responsibility when you don't score. So I like that the offense did their job today, and then Will Warren seemed to benefit from that. And Jordan Richard with the super, thank you, Jordan, for the 2. I want to make sure we catch up. Says, can the Yankees please get B-Boss a smaller helmet? His helmet falls off every swing. Every single swing it falls off.
He's not the only one.
He's not the only one. And I think it's a preference, by the way. There are a lot of hitters that don't like their helmet to be on when they're base running. I don't know if people realize that, but I think Bryce Harper was one of the players, at least early in his career, his helmet would fly off all the time. He would actually throw it off. So
I hate that.
I hated it as well.
It's so stupid because it's just like, to me, it's like, oh yeah, it's cool not to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. You know what I mean? Like, there's a purpose for the helmet. There's a purpose. If you get drilled in the head and you threw your helmet off right before that, you are going to look like the biggest moron on the face of the earth. And you know what?
It's not going to feel good. That
happens. That does happen. It's why they wear helmets while they run. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that is why. So, yeah, I agree with you. There is a preference to that, but it also just feels like, you know, some guys just honestly, it just happens, right? Like, and we saw that with Jasson Dominguez on that right-handed, the huge at-bat at the stadium. I mean, remember he practically decapitated himself on the follow-through. He has like that Miguel Andujar, like.
Yeah, I was talking about with the homer. You don't usually see the helicopter finish with a good result. It's usually like a follow-through on something bad that happened, but obviously that contact was just, it was out of this world. It was ridiculous. So super from Yankees for the win. Thank you for the 2. Says hope all is well. It is. Why didn't Judge bat in the 9th? I just think if he ends up getting hurt in that at bat, is it likely? No. But it's an at-bat that just doesn't have to be had. We know that baseball is a statistician's game. I mean, people love to look at the back of the baseball card and see as many homers, right? Look at your batting average, RBIs, all that. Him taking that at-bat certainly could have helped that matter, but did it matter that Aaron Judge took an at-bat in a 10-2 game? I don't think so. I think it was nice to get him off his feet, sit down next to coach. Didn't matter.
They finally listened to Gary Sheffield Jr.
What'd I say?
Mark Kotze intentionally walked Judge.
You know, I'd been texting my mom about that for like 3 weeks now, because she always asks, and mind you, we play the Padres, and she's a huge Padres fan. Our whole family is, really. And they're like, our team's smart enough. We're not going to pitch to Aaron Judge. And sure enough, Aaron Judge was just a part of the series the whole time. People pitch to Aaron Judge. They just do. We're not sure why. We don't get it. Trust it. It's not our call. And I think I did bring up that, like, Greg Maddux talked about it, and he was like, oh, no, it's an ego thing, because pitchers think my mistake will be outside the zone. And what they learn about themselves is when they make a mistake, it tends to be in the middle of the plate and not outside the strike zone. And that is where you get in trouble with Aaron Judge. He's a professional mistake hitter. That's his job. He doesn't hit pitches on the corner. Yeah, he can, but more times than not, when you see Aaron Judge hitting one of his 60-plus homers, it's like a hanging breaking ball or a fastball right down the middle. And if you watch all the other players in baseball, they foul a lot of those pitches down the middle off. 99 does not do that. He is a professional. That dude is...
Oh, I know. Well,
oh, my.
What I would say, though, is, and I totally understand Greg Maddox's point with the ego, and I've said that, but you know what really occurred to me?
What's that?
It's not ego anymore, because it's up to the manager now. the manager can literally just be like, send that guy over. You don't even have to throw for it. Remember, I forget who it was years ago, back in the day when they used to have to throw 4 balls to walk a guy intentionally. And you'd
that
sit
was
there.
so dumb. We just sat there. That's how like patient we were as baseball fans. We would just sit there and watch a guy just go and throw the ball to his catcher, and then he'd play catch.
Yeah,
it
was
was
ridiculous.
so dumb.
And Barry Bonds sitting there like doing his bat waggle thing, and you're like, why even bother? But back in the day when that happened, I remember a specific time. I don't remember the team, the player, all that, but I remember there being a pitcher who was supposed to do that. And he said, no, I'm going after the guy. And he gave up the grand slam.
I don't know who that would have been.
It was
but
Bonds. It was against Bonds. Bonds hit
really?
the grand slam, and the pitcher went at him because he was going to intentionally walk him. And then sure enough, I think like the next day or not that long after, Bonds was intentionally walked even with the bases loaded. And then they still ended up winning the game. It was the right call.
Okay, because I remember that one. That's the one everyone talked about.
Before that.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So people suggested, okay, that's probably why they intentionally walked Bonds with the bases loaded, because previously it had happened where there was a game where they were all bases loaded, and he was supposed to intentionally walk him, and they even showed the manager like doing the sign or whatever, and then he's freaking out. And the guy just starts going at him, and Bonds just crushes it for a home run. And he's like the
we saw
irate.
this happen the opposite of it. Remember Garrett Cole? They're like, hey, go after him. And then Garrett Cole's like, nah, we're going to put up the 4 for Devers, which is essentially. So you remember that?
Yes.
So we have Garrett Cole saying, yeah, we're going to walk Devers. This dude's just my dad. So he's going to first, right? And everyone said, oh, man, that just felt so weak. Even though it was smart, he does not get him out. It was smart, but every single person, because he didn't get out of it. Suddenly it was like line drive to right center. It seemed like he didn't have his confidence. And they said, yeah, it did feel like a bit of a punt, which is where the ego comes in. What do you feel about yourself when you look at the team's best player, the number 1 matchup on the other side, and you're essentially saying, I've got nothing for this guy? Is it practical to say I've got nothing for him? Yeah, it is. You don't have anything for him. There's no pitcher on any team in Major League Baseball that's like, oh, Aaron Judge, yeah, I'm the better player. It just doesn't exist. So every player should just draw the same conclusion. I'm not pitching to him. And they continue to do it. So Alex Reyes with the super says, Jason heard you say if he's got to sit, so be it. Bro turned into Michael Jordan, Gary the real MVP. Alex, I appreciate it.
You did say that. And then he was just like, all right. And I took that personal.
Which is perfectly fine. Yeah. Because there's nothing that he had done up until that point where Aaron Boone had to look over and say, okay, Grisham, Bellinger, Judge, and then whoever my DH is for the day. Is Jasson Dominguez not only good enough to play, is he an absolute pencil in? The answer was no. There was nothing that he had done absent of the year prior where we said, yeah, he's got to play. He has to. And now you watch tonight's game and you say, okay, there's an output where we have to draw somewhat of a conclusion that we may be looking at a trend here. So I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow. I'm excited to see that lineup. I know if I don't see him in it, I don't even want to tell you guys what I'd do. It's going to be a bad day.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of guys not being in the lineup, I did want to touch on Austin Wells.
Okay.
Ascara had a great day, right? He looked really good at the plate.
He did.
I loved his piece of hitting it opposite field, and then I love the hustle double. I mean, that was really cool. Love when my catchers can run. But I can't stand the fact that Wells has been getting hot, and you just had an off day on Thursday, and then he's out on Friday. So I loved what Ascara did today, but Boone is going to Boone, because I just, when I saw that, I texted you immediately. I was like, are we serious? A 25-year-old needs a day off after a day off?
Can I actually say something about this? Because I'm actually going to defend Aaron Boone here, and I don't do this often.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I don't believe Austin Wells is a good enough baseball player right now, this can change over the course of time. I'm giving him the runway to possibly run this down, right? But at this point, Escara, showing us what he does offensively, I think he's shown enough potential where we can just have two good catchers. And I know last year I sort of said I don't want Trevino to play at all regardless of what he does, and that mainly had to do with the glove. I liked what he did in terms of blocking, right, in terms of framing. All those intangibles were really good. The problem was the throwing. I could not watch Jose Trevino throw the ball to second base. Couldn't watch it any longer, right? And so now Austin Wells was combating with that. And I said Austin Wells should be playing every day based on that roster. Well, Escara now is a professional at bat. We now have two good catchers. Austin Wells hasn't shown nearly enough this season where I can say no one else should be given any opportunity whatsoever. So for me, if we look into August and you're looking at an Austin Wells repeating his performance of last August, yeah, Escara should be making his way on the field and being given an opportunity. So I understand the concept that if Wells plays well, no pun intended, you'd like to believe that he's going to be on the field the following day or the day after that. But it seems Aaron Boone has more confidence in Escara than we originally thought. And I don't really have too much of a problem with that. It's his call, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, so you see it being closer to a timeshare than just a, that's interesting. I didn't really think
Kind
of that.
of. I would assume Austin Wells is 4 out of 5 days he's going to play. 3 out of 5 days he's going to play. And then all of a sudden there's going to be maybe a 6 to 7 day stretch where Escara, he gives you a 5 for 7 performance with that bat. And you say, well, I want to see what he looks like tomorrow. You give it to him. He goes 0 for 4. Okay, so be it. Wells is back on the field. I think that's the way it's going to go. And if somebody wants to play every day, you need to play like that everyday player. Once you do it, I'll vouch for you, no question.
Yeah, I just think my only issue is that, Wells is 5 years younger than Escara. So
yes,
it's one of those things where even though Escara was called up, we need to realize he's not the young kid that, and you've brought it up, like the Uber driver thing and all that.
Yeah.
He's not the young kid that he's been dubbed as. Like, this guy is older than most of these other players. And so, yeah, I was a little frustrated by that. I like the outcome, but I'm one of those people, I got to go with my gut here, and I have to stand by what I initially believed. I'm not going to just change my opinion because Escara had a good day. I feel like that's disingenuous.
It is,
I still had an issue, even though he went 2 for 4, I think, today. I still have an issue with Wells not playing, especially after he was really, it looked like he was starting to heat up, a lot more hard contact. The at-bats were really good. And so I like what I saw from Escara today. I like the hustling and everything, but I just feel like going back to the initial thing of today, yeah, I had an issue with that. The two things, well, one thing I want to bring up twice here, though, because it's always brought up when he has a home run that's only a home run in one ballpark or 2 ballparks, but Aaron Judge technically could have had 2 home runs today in half of the ballparks. 15 out of 30, it was his fly out. And 21 out of his 30 was his double off the wall. So no one will talk about that because that's not the cool thing to do, but he should be leading the league, apparently, with 14 home runs on the season. So, and he should have 15 because the umpire took away one because he was a moron. But also, that's not the only moronic umpire. What the hell happened today with the whole Grisham thing? I talked to you about this off air, and I know people wanted us to get into this as well. Mm-hmm. That is repulsive. To miss a call that bad, and then the Yankees challenge it. Like, they end up getting the run, but the Yankees lost a run initially because the umpire thought the center fielder who dove caught it, even though if you just look at the replay, like, the ball bounces into his glove. It's not one of those, like, bang, bang plays that I thought it was. It was pretty clear it hits the ground. Goldie's robbed. It's like, if you're going to have missed calls like that, then it's not just robo-umps behind the plate that we need. At some point, we might just need quick instant replay to decide what's a catch now? Because
probably just some type of
pathetic
retool of what the rules are, because it seems like there are certain things that even replay we're like, oh yeah, okay, that's how that play went, but there's not a way to undo it in this sport. Like very similar to what you saw to Aaron Judge when he hit that home run down the left field line a few weeks ago, and a lot of people said, hey, it was fair. So
awful.
What should we do about that? And baseball was like, we can't really do anything. Maybe that's the retool I'm talking about. I'm not trying to go on some long rant about robo-umps because they're coming regardless. The question is what does baseball do to retool some of the control that umpires have, and maybe surrendering some of that control to somebody up top may be helpful to this game. Bring some more integrity into the sport, because it used to be that it's just part of baseball that we make these type of human errors and mistakes. But when there are rules in place, you'd like them to be upheld rather than just the judgment stuff. Judgment stuff makes a lot of sense. You make the incorrect judgment, we live with that, at least right now. But if you're not going to follow the rules that are in the rule book, that's where the problem resides, in my opinion. And these umpires, they just don't have enough ability to undo some lack of understanding of the rules in the moment. So very disappointing, but again, we win 10-2. I don't necessarily care too much about it. Thankfully, that was the score of this game.
Yeah.
And Noble Demon Tim, I always have to get that right. Appreciate the 2. Thank you. Says Jason as DH.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Can he bunt versus lefties? I'm going to address the designated hitter take, at least for right now. And I don't think DH makes a lick of sense. And I'll tell you why. If you think about it, the only way he can be your designated hitter, and this is the only way, is if Ben Rice finds a position.
Exactly.
The end. If Ben Rice is at first base, we failed. It doesn't work because our second best offensive player on the whole team in Paul Goldschmidt, right? Sitting over 350, had it going again today. He has to play, especially what he's doing defensively. He's going to play first base. So now what do you do with Ben Rice? You put him at DH. That's the obvious answer. And the only other way you can get him out there is if the Yankees get a little bit more creative and find somewhere for him to play. If they can't do that, then we don't have the ability to put Jasson Dominguez at designated hitter. And, Tim, here's another thing. Giancarlo Stanton will be back in about 5 to 6 weeks. He is going to be DHing some for this team. That means in those days, Jasson Dominguez will absolutely be in the field. No questions asked. It cannot be any other way. So this is part of what Jake was bringing up earlier, is that the Yankees need to be a little bit more proactive with how they deploy their players defensively. And we're not saying it to pick on them. We're actually saying it so that Aaron Boone can put the best offensive guys in the lineup that he chooses. But right now, given some constraints of their defensive options, they don't have the ability to hit guys when they want to. And that's a tough task for Aaron Boone long term.
Yeah, my screen went blank, so I heard none of that. But
you're being serious.
I'm being 100%
Jake's
serious.
on 30. Guys, was that me or was that Jake? You let us know. But Jake's on 30 megabit Wi-Fi, so that could be it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I have everything plugged in. I don't know.
I can paraphrase for you.
Yeah.
I said that Jasson Dominguez can't DH because Stanton's coming back. Ben Rice.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, okay, perfect. That was about it. It was just a long-winded version of that. So, yeah. Go. I'll get to a next super chat.
That's just you admitting that you were yapping on my level. It's okay.
Very typical. My wife agrees. Cody is treating number 35 as a family heirloom. I don't get it. He's been wearing 35 since he was a kid. So,
hey,
yeah.
I mean, Kevin Durant wore 35 and has worn 35. So, I mean,
it's true.
Honestly, 35 wasn't a good number until Durant wore it, if I'm being honest. I never really thought that was a great number, but it's not a bad pitcher number.
Mussina wore 35, didn't he?
I think he did. So, yeah, it's not a bad pitcher number, but, like, yeah, I don't know. A hitter, I'll tell you right now, in football, it's a weird number. It just is.
I can't even think of a football 35.
I
Not
can
one.
because they just announced the rookies, and I know Jarquez Hunter for the Rams is wearing it. And everybody's like, change the number immediately.
That's
no
terrible.
Aura.
You can't be good with 35 on.
Oh, well, did you see the Packers receivers wearing 22? Are we serious?
Yeah, that's bad. It's not good. There's certain. Well, I will say to Cody Bellinger's defense,
yeah,
when you have like some family ties to a certain number, it immediately makes the number fine.
I like it on him.
Yeah, 35 looks good for Cody Bellinger, and it looks much better when he's playing the way he's played the last week. And this entire show has been what to do really with Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger's defense has been great. Offensively, he was horrible. Now he's starting to turn it on. The Yankees' top prospect is now showing, oh, I actually am that top prospect. That guy that you were talking about, yeah, I'm him. Then now you have Grisham playing out of his mind. We're all laughing and calling him Barry Bonds. No, he's playing ridiculous baseball. Then the MVP of the league is in your other spot in the outfield. Your designated hitter spot is clogged. What do you do with these players? And everyone says, oh, it's easy. Just play this guy. I'm like, so just sit the other guy? Yeah. It's a difficult task because, Jake, you literally brought it up today. You said, Austin Wells, how do you not play him? Look how he's playing of late. And I actually agree somewhat. I understand it. And then simultaneously, Cody Bellinger, who recently is playing great baseball, sat today. Nobody expected it to happen. And what happens on the backside of that decision is that Jasson Dominguez got another opportunity to play today. Had he not played, we don't even see this performance today.
No. And it is a reminder that, this lurks in everybody. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, Cody Bellinger totally was about to hit 3 home runs. They screwed him too. No. Right. But, this type of ability is in every hitter. They're not in the major leagues if they can't have this. It's hard. But we have now seen it in back-to-back seasons with the young guys. We saw it with Rice last year hitting 3 home runs, and now we've seen it with Jasson Dominguez. Jasson Dominguez is the first Yankee he's the first Yankee to have the home run on both sides of the plate since Neil Walker for the Yankees. So that's
not even too long ago either. I think it's like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, 2018. And then the one that caught my attention was he's the youngest Yankee to have 3 home runs in a game since Joe DiMaggio. So he's now the youngest Yankee ever.
It's pretty notable.
Joe DiMaggio. So, because you think about it, you're like, Ben Rice isn't exactly young, but he's not exactly old, but he's not like 22, you know?
Was he 25?
Yeah, I think he's 20. I think he's 26 now.
Because Ben Rice looks young.
He does. But yeah, he's like 3 years older than Dominguez.
He looks like that kid from The Incredibles.
What's crazy to me is Dominguez is a young 22. He turned 22 in February.
We have reason. If you just read between the lines, the Yankees gain so much from just prioritizing Jasson Dominguez being on the field. And I don't mean that in a sense of if he plays poorly, do what you did with Volpe his rookie season and just like run him through a wall. I don't want that. If Jasson Dominguez is hitting 223 in August of this year, I don't want you to tell me, well, he's our top prospect. He's got to play. I don't want that. This is the Yankees. There's no charity work. Don't tell me what you're protecting. Don't tell me anyone's untouchable. No, the untouchable players, they perform. And Jasson Dominguez, if he's performing, I think you should look around and say, we pay him $25 million. That guy's a veteran. He's playing well. You got to give them the shaft. See ya. This guy has got to play. So I'm excited for Jasson Dominguez. It's interesting because he plays slow, if that makes sense. He doesn't seem like he's in a hurry to do anything. He seems very relaxed, which is a good thing. He
does, yeah.
And
he looks like
I'll
a
tell
pro.
you what, he looks like a pro. When you play well and the game seems to be slow, it's a recipe for success. Now, will this matter? Maybe a week from now, people are saying, hey, Dominguez needs to go back on the bench, give him a day. We have no idea what's in store for this player. The long-term data, at least at the big league level, is that Dominguez still, overall, doesn't necessarily rake against left-handed pitching. We've actually mentioned we'd like to see him hit lefty permanently, and now we're starting to see perhaps what the Yankees saw in this player from both sides. So we hope it works. We're not rooting for anything else. But if Jasson Dominguez is performing like maybe not a superstar, but a very, very good player in this sport, I mean, this league can look out. If Kyle Tucker next year becomes a Yankee, you're looking at an outfield now that is probably better than any outfield we've had about 20 years.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've already kind of set my expectations for Dominguez to be a really good player, not necessarily elite. But if he ends up being elite and he exceeds my expectations, then I'm happy about that. But I'll tell you right now, I have a really, really good feeling about George Lombard Jr. Really good feeling about him. We'll get into him. But, Brian, thank you for the super chat. DJ and Stanton don't belong on this team. I'm not taking away at bats from Rice and Dominguez. I understand the sentiment, but I really don't want to act like Stanton doesn't belong on a team that he basically, if you remove Soto last year, carried to the World Series. So I just think here's the thing. Stanton's a really interesting player because he still has a lot of respect in that clubhouse. A lot of respect with that coaching staff, and he himself carries himself as like he is a captain, right? So it's not as simple as saying, yeah, you know, you're getting up there in age, you've had a hard time staying healthy. We know the last time we saw you, you were dominating in the postseason, but you're going to play once every week. Like, he's not going to do that. And so I saw somebody in the comments section mention how he'd be willing to play third. I can't say Stanton. Somebody in the comment section said that. I can't say that for sure because I didn't see that. I will just say this. I think the only way Stanton is going to continue to play professional baseball is if he just swings a bat. Like, at this point, I'm hoping that they create a rule where you could have a designated runner that's ready to run when Stanton hits the bat. Because I mean,
third base,
like,
brother, that would probably be the biggest mistake that the Yankees have made. It worse than like not even signing Bryce Harper, like not even going after that player. Because remember how bad we said that was. Giancarlo Stanton playing third base would just be insane. Okay, I don't even consider letting him try to catch a single fly ball in left field, not even for rehab assignment. Don't let him touch a glove. Just sell it. Put it on Facebook Marketplace, offer up, get
you know
rid
what that's
of it.
like doing, by the way?
What's it doing?
If you even dare put Stanton in the field, I don't care what the position you're in. That's like taking Chin-Ming Wang after he ruined his entire career because he was running the bases and saying, yeah, you're going to go pinch run for our guy at second. Why? The entire reason that he got hurt was because of running the bases. Yeah. If they think about this, there's an alternate reality somewhere where Chin-Ming Wang has won 5 Cy Youngs because the DH actually existed and he never had to run.
Yeah, to some degree, you do have to ask yourself, do they have the physical capabilities of withstanding what I'm about to put them through? Everybody knows. Like, you remember we put Stan in left field like a few years ago, and Stan would tell us, yeah, the reason I'm staying a little bit more healthy is because I'm staying in shape. Yeah, those days, they faded away, which is okay because when we got to the postseason, he was our DH, and he put on a show. In large part, it was, you brought it up, part of the reason that we even made it to a World Series anyway. So, for me, if we're going to go into, let's just say, July, August, and now we're starting to get closer to October baseball, we believe we're going to be a team that's participating in October. Giancarlo Stanton is playing. He will be your DH, probably more times than not. So having said that, we're just not going to have Ben Rice out there. And you may see, this is very possible, just a platoon at first base. We see a righty, you see Ben Rice. You see a lefty, we get Paul Goldschmidt.
And
so
this is why they got to get
there's nothing
creative.
we can do.
This is why they got to get creative, because it's one thing to just say get creative when you don't have this issue, but the Yankees are actually kind of loaded. Not even gonna lie, man. They're loaded. I'm not saying they're loaded with stars, but they have too many guys. Think about this. You got your catchers, 2 catchers. You got your first baseman. You got 2 first basemen. You got 3, including Cody Bellinger if he ever plays there, but he can play there. You got Jazz Chisholm. You got Bebos. You got Peraza. You got Volpe. You got LeMahieu coming back. You got Cabrera, right? That's just the infield. Then you get to the outfield, and you got Judge, Bellinger, Dominguez, right? And then, oh, by the way, now Giancarlo Stanton, and Ben Rice. So you have to find a way to get the best hitters in the lineup. And to me, I'm not just saying to get creative because that's cool to do. I'm saying I don't think the Yankees have a choice now. I don't think they have a choice.
Because people tell us Ben Rice can't play third. I'm like, well, tell me where he can play. Can you give me a solution?
When I hear that, I'm like, okay, so you talk to him?
They're like, no. The Yankees said that he can. I'm like,
yeah, I don't give a rip what the Yankees said. I mean, the Yankees didn't think Michael King could be a starter because Michael King has said that multiple times that he advocated to be a starter long before they turned him into one.
Yeah, he essentially said, I'm somewhat responsible for the reason you got Juan Soto in the first place. So you're welcome. And it's true. Sometimes players see more for themselves than maybe even the team saw. Well, we're not even here telling you that Ben Rice can play third base. We've said this many times because people say, well, you think he could play? You think he could play third base? You think he could play? And they're just losing their minds. And it's like, guys, no. We're telling you that the Yankees, in terms of positions, they've got a lot of overlapping going on. There's a lot of overlapping going on at first base and DH. Look how many damn first base and DHs we got. You want Rice to play. You want Goldschmidt to play. Both of those players, everyone's like, well, yeah, hell yeah, you play every day.
And you see those tweets, man, where people are like, can you believe these podcasters are saying that Ben Rice should play third? Well, what's your genius idea?
Their genius idea is
you want to keep him out of the lineup entirely when Stanton comes back? That's their idea, Gary. That's their idea. They're hoping, I've seen it, they're hoping Ben Rice, that takes care of itself, and either Stanton gets hurt again,
or Rice falls off.
Or Ben Rice falls off. I'm like, you're hoping for your young player who has shown potential stardom. You're hoping he falls off?
My God. Did you just see this super chat from Jordan Richard? Jordan, you should be spending 5 years in the penitentiary for this comment. It says Trent Grishey Jr. Oh. Oh my God. That is unbelievable. I haven't seen that. So much aura as a Yankee. Also, having Stanton in the lineup gives pitchers more to think about. Okay, we agree, because this is what a lot of people are saying. They're saying, can you believe these podcasters asking Ben Rice to just play and just move positions because they don't want Stanton in there? No, we want them all in there. That's what we're telling you. We think Stanton is a potential solution, just like he was last season in October. He was a huge solution. So what will end up happening, undoubtedly, is Giancarlo will show up and he'll play. And then Ben Rice will just be on the bench. And then some of us will be complaining, right, that he's not playing at all despite his numbers long term. And then Giancarlo will do something great. And they'll say, see, that's why we play Giancarlo. And we're like, we wanted him to play too. We just wanted Ben Rice to be hitting 5th, 6th, 7th. That's what we wanted, because we think the potential of that lineup they do it all the time.
They like, Boone is actually notorious for this. He'll take what the fans are saying, kind of spin it in a way. Well, yeah, for like they said that, he shouldn't be playing. No, we said he should be playing, but you should try the other guy at another position so they both play.
We're telling you that Cabrera is playing third base. Cabrera's ops is closer to 600. That's 100 under league average. And mind you, he's not even hitting poorly for him. He's hitting like 240 right now.
I like Cabrera, but it's like you said, that's a premium offensive position. If you could put Rice there, and think about this, Gary. No one's mentioned this. If you get Ben Rice to play third base, and by the way, George Lombard Jr. has played second now in back-to-back games. So that's interesting. But if you were to get him to play third, you could argue bringing back Paul Goldschmidt for another year. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's not just Goldschmidt, though. That becomes open for Goldschmidt and Bellinger. So you could bring back Goldschmidt, and you could actually argue that Bellinger gives you more flexibility having him at first, because then you can go out and get Kyle Tucker. You have Judge. You have Dominguez. Now the DH spot's open. This is a no-brainer to try. I'm not saying it's going to work, but they tried it with Jazz. I understand Jazz is a way better athlete. I'm not trying to, say he's not.
Right.
But they always talk about he's never done it before. How many times has Boone said he's never done it before? Because this is not the first time that we tried to get creative as a fan base. It gets to him, either, a podcast asks him or something, and he shuts it down. This is, once again, the same organization that said, oh, yeah, we don't do that. But they were going to move Gleyber Torres to third. They were going to move Gleyber to third. He said no. So they moved Jazz to third, who had never played there before. Garrett, they acquired somebody in the middle of the season, not knowing where he was going to play. They did not have a plan for him. We thought they did. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, yeah, I guess he's going to play third. Like,
they did exactly that. And I don't know, guys. We're essentially saying that it doesn't seem like we're just going to run into a solution just by guys playing a certain way. Because if you're hoping for, Giancarlo can't stay healthy. Well, Giancarlo's always there in October. So what's your plan then? You get to October, Ben Rice has played great, and then you're going to tell him, hey, it's your job next year, but go sit down next to coach. Hey, nice work. We wouldn't have won this division without your output. That sucks. For a young player, that's not good. So I understand it's baseball. It's a rough business, but we do want to see Ben Rice play, right? We want to go see Jasson Dominguez play. We want to see these guys up and down this lineup rather than there being losers in this situation that have to go sit down next to Aaron Boone. So, but I wanted to talk about George Lombard Jr. for a second, because you brought up something very interesting, and that's the position the Yankees are choosing to play him. Now, obviously, this could be us just reading too much into it. It could just be positionally they liked a shortstop that was playing short at that level, or they could be teeing him up for what's next. What's next when he gets called up to the Yankees? Because this is a player who's still 19. He's 20 next month, and he's performing. It's not just some hype train. He's got the numbers behind him. This isn't Anthony Volpe, who hit 235, 245, and then they told us about his tools. That is called hype, which some of it worked out, some of it didn't. George Lombard Jr. is showing up with a little less hype than Anthony Volpe had. I'd say actually probably a lot less. And he's got the numbers to back it up. So the question is he playing second base because the Yankees are angling for him to replace a Jazz Chisholm at second? Or is he just over there? So I thought that was super interesting. I was shocked when you told me that this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to do this because I think 2 days ago, Jake, I actually asked you, I want George Lombard Jr. at third base. Why don't they have him developing over there? And then 2 days later, he was at second base. So I'm not saying it has anything to do with me. It doesn't. But it's interesting. He's playing a new position.
It is. And tonight, for those of you who don't know, George Lombard Jr., GLJ, as we should probably call him. He needs some nickname. He's our top prospect right now. Went 2 for 4 with 3 runs and an RBI. His first runs batted in Double-A. And he actually had the game winner against Akron. So he's already making an impact. And look, we're not going to be those people that's like every game, oh, George Lombard Jr. update, turn it into a segment or anything like that. But this is a player that you need to know, and this is a player that you need to follow. And, I think, Gary, this is somebody that should get people excited, and this is the essence of having a fun prospect, like having a top prospect to root for again. Because you got that with Jasson Dominguez, but then it was weird, right? He's the weirdest top prospect because they called him up and then he raked, and then he had major surgery and was out, and then he got hurt again. He hurt his oblique, check swinging. Remember? So it was a top prospect who had already been called up, and then they acted like he was so far away, but they didn't really mention the injury. They just kept talking about, oh yeah, he's just not there yet. But it had nothing to do with the injury. They were acting as if he never got to that point when they already told us, yeah, he's a major leaguer. They called him up and he immediately succeeded. So that was the weird part. Then you had Anthony Volpe, who it seemed like they just really started trying to pump him up more than even like the Yankees fans were. Like it was noticeable how much like the Yankees organization was trying to sell Anthony Volpe to us. Whereas Jasson Dominguez was the Martian, 17 years old. Everyone was so excited to get his baseball card, right? And then it was like the Yankees were like slow playing him almost. With George Lombard Jr., it's like a mix. I don't see this crazy Anthony Volpe shove to the top, but I also don't see them like not willing to move this guy up as he's now in Double-A. So it's a really interesting prospect, but I would probably say he's got a higher ceiling than Volpe pretty easily, and he might have a higher ceiling than Jasson Dominguez. And when you look at this player, it's the 5-tool proposition you're getting with him. And I think the thing that's going to come last, Gary, is the power. And I'm okay with that because he's still slugging. He's just not hitting home runs right now. But he's getting doubles. He's getting triples. He's stealing bags. He's making some Gold Glove worthy plays in the field. He can play second, short, third. So you have that positional flexibility. He's a really fun player to watch, and he's going to be a really nasty right-handed bat whenever he comes up for this team because I've been keeping an eye on him. It's not just the stats. I've been watching like what he's doing, and you could see it. He has the look of somebody that is going to be around for a long time. I really believe that.
Yeah, no, I can't say there's no doubt because these prospects can just fizzle out at a moment's notice.
Of course.
But I want to bring up a chat. It's not a super, but I want to bring up Vinny because he brings up a solid point. And he mentions that Volpe he mentions he went off. Anthony Volpe did play well in A-ball, in high A baseball. He played really well. He hit 286, 15 homers, 37 ribbies, and you're probably listening to that, 12 stolen bases. Those aren't crazy numbers, but that was in 55 games, guys. They were great numbers. Anthony Volpe was called up basically instantly, just like what we just saw with George Lombard Jr. And some people can take that as a negative and say, well, he played well and so did this other guy, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's just this prerequisite to stardom. And I would agree with that. So this is what comes next. This is the conclusion. You need to perform now. You're now in Double-A. Now we need to see what that performance looks like because when you look at Anthony Volpe, he was a 250 hitter in the minor leagues. From this point that George Lombard Jr. is at now, he was a 250 and below hitter in the minors. That's not great. It's not. No. Look at the majority of great players in this sport. They dominated in the minor leagues. Not all, a lot of them. And when you call a guy a top prospect, one that involves hype, one that involves, we're so excited, they're getting called up this weekend. Will he make it out of spring training? All those storylines, they need to follow key performance below. Double-A, Triple-A. It needs to make sense. And that's part of what you're bringing up, Jake. But also, to get some level of excitement into this player, what Jake brings up is the tools. Anthony Volpe has never had an electric arm. Never. He's had a great glove. They talked about the analytics of what he's done, and that's a good thing. But when you look at some of these players, they're not all the same player. Some of them can run, right? Yeah. Some of them have a ton of power. You mentioned that the power will come. The power is the least of my concern. Can you hit? Can you field your position? Do you have a strong arm? If the answer is yes, that's a good baseball player, and I want to see if you can do it at the Double-A level. If you can, we're going to continue to talk about you. Not every day, but as you start getting closer to the big leagues, now you can get hyped up for a player because I'm looking at the Triple-A team and saying, look at those numbers. He can slot in at third base because Cabrera is not doing it. How about this kid? That's the excitement for me. So we'll actually just take a breather on this player. We'll check up on him and see what he's doing about 6 to 8 weeks from now. And if you look up and you see some big numbers, yeah, the momentum will pile up pretty quickly. And it's exciting, I'll say.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting. And it's always good when you have like a top prospect to feel good about. I mean, I think George Lombard Jr., again, you had mentioned he's 19 still. He'll be 20 very soon. I think he's kind of on that trajectory with that of Jackson Holiday. I've mentioned it before. Probably a late season call-up in September if he does get called up this year. I would call him up at the deadline. I think that makes, I mean, I'd call him up probably pretty soon, but the deadline, and I don't think that, because again, it goes back to the Yankees don't view Anthony Volpe like that was a failure, Gary. They do not. They think that this was this is a home run. They love Anthony Volpe. Like, they've said that, you know?
Well, I mean, I guess what are they going to say? It's not it.
No,
at the same time, their playing time does suggest you're right. There's no question.
Yeah.
He plays every single day. So they are very happy about some things, and that's the glove. But, yeah, in terms of the expectations for Volpe, yeah, it didn't work. It's more than likely not going to be this success story that we were anticipating. He's just what I described on X. I said he's just a good baseball player. He can field his position incredibly well. He plays every day, shows up. He stays relatively healthy. That means something. And, yeah, his ops is over league average. Is that the holy grail? Is it the Bible for me? No, it isn't. I don't read too much into ops, but he does at times get streaky, and sometimes that streak is at the time you need it. And we saw it last October. So Anthony Volpe is a productive player. He's just not what we hoped for. And we're certainly not getting excited for George Lombard Jr. to get that Volpe type output at the big league level. I think our sights are set for something bigger.
Yeah, and real quick, because we're going to get into Profit X, but it's funny because I said the other day to you, I was like, on base percentage really matters to me. OPS is cool, but I really care about on base percentage. And I was just having this conversation with my father, and he was saying how it's kind of like the Luis Arias situation, where a walk is nice, but a walk isn't doing as much as a double, right? And a walk, unless the bases are loaded, you're not driving in a run. So really, on base percentage can tend to be a little bit overrated, and batting average still matters. But my dad's actually been batting average his whole life, but OPS he's recently started to really push me towards, because he says, well, what about the guys that slug? And maybe they don't get on base as much because they're sacrificing that based on their power, based on their run creation ability. Whereas guys that are just hitting slap singles, they're not really risking it for the biscuit, right?
Cabrera, as an example. He's not leaving the yard, right?
So,
he had a double today, but his ops is below league average.
When you have the OPS in your corner, I mean, I guess it does kind of tell a good story, and it's not one of those where I need to find a manual on how to read this certain analytic like Waffle or whatever the hell is out there.
You still haven't told me what that means, but we'll save it for next.
I saw it the other day, and I just don't understand it. But here's the deal. I saw in the comments section, real quick before we get into Profit X, saw in the comments section, Spencer Jones strikes out too much. I don't care. I'm here to tell you, I think strikeouts are overrated. I would rather have you strike out than ground into a double play. I don't care. If your OPS is 926, Spencer Jones is doing what Spencer Jones should be doing.
Isn't it nuanced, though? I think people take it as so black and white. They just sort of look at a Tony Gwynn and say he struck out 36 times this season. That's amazing.
Exactly.
It's historic. But if there's a player in baseball who hits 62 home runs in a season, why would you think that he's got to strike out? Like, you're not going to look at him and be like, yeah, but he struck out 120 times. Excuse me? He hit 60-plus home runs. He walked over 100 times. Every time his bat touched the ball, it left the stadium. So it's weighted. You need to look at the overall player. You look at a guy like Cabrera, right?
I agree.
And you look at a guy like Cabrera and you say, okay, if he strikes out 140 times, it's less times than maybe an Aaron Judge might strike out. But what do they do in the other at-bats? Well, they're doing damage, so those strikeouts don't hurt so much. That's what we're talking about here. So if the power's there, you can deal with the K a little bit. There needs to be a middle ground here. You can't just strike out 250 times. But part of, Jake, I think what your point is that Spencer Jones is creating, he's wreaking havoc offensively. Yeah. And maybe one or two of his outs on a given day are a strikeout. But there's still two other at-bats to be taken. And that's coming with power. It's coming with speed. So, yeah. Ops is a good indication of a good baseball player. Obviously, there's no number I place as the holy grail. I don't think that there's any one number, but just watch the game. If you feel like a guy's productive and he hits for pop, you tend to look down and his ops seems to be right where you thought it was.
Well, and exactly. You know what's a really good example of this? And I mean no disrespect to Tony Gwynn, but do you know who also never struck out but actually hit 35 home runs, 31 home runs, 30 home runs, 140 RBIs in a season, and did it before the steroid era but is in the Hall of Fame? Don Mattingly. Don Mattingly, his numbers are insane, Gary. He played 162 games in a season one year, had 35 home runs, 159, excuse me, 35 home runs, 45 RBIs. He walked 56 times. Guess how many times he struck out?
Wait, you said how many walks?
No, I didn't tell you. 56. So guess how many times he struck out?
Oh, man. 64?
41. Don Mattingly, this is exactly what I'm talking about, where Tony Gwynn, as great as he is, he wasn't putting up 145 ribbies and 35 home runs.
Well, that's the question with Luis Arias as well. Yeah. Luis Arias plays for multiple teams. Everyone's like, why wouldn't you want a guy? Could you imagine if Luis Arias was our leadoff hitter? It's like, yeah, I could imagine. His on base would be 350.
Yeah.
That's what you look at. He's essentially going to be a player that's going to hit singles, and that's great. There's a ton of value. Singles are still better than walks. I will die on that hill.
Yes, yeah.
But having said that, when you look up at Luis Arias's ops, it's not historic. It's not. The slugging is not there. So there's a reason that certain guys are finding themselves on multiple rosters. Now, Tony Gwynn is still one of the greatest hitters of all time, and again, I'll die on that hill as well. But the point here is that it's okay to strike out. You don't have to give up on a prospect because you look down and say, well, you mean you struck out 150 times in Double-A? What are you going to do at the big league level? Well, if he's giving you output and he's putting balls in the seats and balls are splitting the gap and he's legging out triples and doubles, yeah, that's still production. So we hate to tell you that new school is just the way it's going to be, but it sort of is, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
That's just the game.
Well, new school would be OPS plus and weighted runs created, but we've already set our piece on that. You know, it's really, I don't like distorting an image that I already know what the image is, right? I saw ERA plus today and I nearly had a heart attack in our freaking comment. I was texting you, remember? I was like, what the hell is this?
I don't know what ERA plus is. I'm going to assume it has to do with defense behind you to some degree, and like it probably mitigates. Yeah, it probably mitigates some of the risk, I'm assuming. So
I just think that's dumb because based on like taking the stats and basing them based on ballpark, that sounds great in theory, right? Oh yeah, we love that, right? Weighted. But here's the problem with that. There are situations now that you can't take back. So like when you're in a pitcher's park, you might not be pitching a certain way than you would like in a hitter's park. So now you're going to try and merge that. I don't like that. And I think people are so quick. A lot of these analytical, calculations and all that, Gary, do you know where they stem from? It's people who want to compare the old with the new. It's dumb. It's pointless. We don't need to do it. It's not comparable. I'm sorry. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you throw our way. Babe Ruth is not comparable to Aaron Judge. He's just not. Stats-wise, fine. You could say that. But it's just a different game. Aaron Judge...
There were guys he played that have full-time... They literally were like part-time janitors.
Well, it's like...
And it's like no disrespect, but I mean, come on.
I love Wilt Chamberlain. But like Wilt Chamberlain was playing against nobody anywhere near his size. So he of course you're going to score 100 points.
Wilt Chamberlain looked like me playing pool basketball with my brothers. Like it's just like not. And you don't want to like disrespect it, but you can't tell me that I'm watching Mike Trout taking at bat in the World Baseball Classic against Ohtani in the final inning, and he's throwing 102 with 93 mile an hour sliders. And he's like pitching backwards.
Is hitting that. I'm just saying.
But it's like, obviously it's too simple to say is Ruth hitting that, but is anyone really making the argument that it's harder or even close to as hard to hit back then? I mean, it's like, are you kidding me?
I'm just saying, well, here's a perfect example with the NFL. You know how centers pretty much have to be 300 plus pounds? It's like a prerequisite.
Yeah.
Do you know what they were back in the day? 230, 240. That's what they were.
230? That's like someone's like out of shape dad's 230. That's a center in the NFL.
Back
like
in
the
like
Miami
the 50s. Yes.
Well, how about like the Dolphins? They're like greatest football team of all time. And if you just threw them out, and then you know what they do? They say, oh, well, those guys who were 220 in that day, they would just be 320. And it's like, well, why are you allowed to just project positively into my era? But all of a sudden, if I was like, hey, I'm going to throw Michael Jordan from 1996 into 1950, they'd think he was doing witchcraft. If they saw Michael Jordan in like Jerry West's era, his head would have popped off.
Well, the thing I find funny is, can you imagine LeBron James in the hand check era? Come on. He's allowed to just push off guys and hand check, really? Like, that's my issue. Like, you could say that. You could say, oh, can you imagine this guy in that era? Well, here's the problem with that. Everything is projection. Because, I'm sorry, sports medicine is way more advanced than it was in the 60s. So that's BS because, to your point, you can't use it one way and not the other. You really just can't use it at all. Because at the end of the day, you are projecting. Nothing about this is going to 100% ironclad move to the next thing and the next thing. So, yeah, I don't even know how we got here. But, oh, yeah, I do. Because ERA Plus just threw me into a tizzy. But
ERA Plus ruins everything. So Apex with the super says Dominguez broke DiMaggio's record. Jake, I think, brought that up earlier. Future star, we hope so. We hope that Jasson Dominguez ends up being
thank you, Apex,
what some would call a future star. Apex, we really appreciate your support for our channel. It does not go unnoticed. And guys, by the way, before we get to real quick our Profit X picks using our code YANKSU, please make sure you like the video. It helps us out a ton. Jake, let's go win some money.
Yeah, let's do. I think it's going to be a little bit easier this time around. I feel really good about going against the A's. I really do. I felt good about it tonight. By the way, they're just the Athletics. So when you said Sacramento, I had to look it up because I was like, you know, that is the one thing, Gary, throughout this whole offseason, I didn't know where the A's even played. I thought they were in Vegas. I was so confused when they're like, yeah, California. I was like, what? The whole situation is about as weird as what just happened.
What was that?
I tried to switch the scene and it kicked us out. But no, Gary, like, we even had the Washington football team. Okay, we had the Utah Hockey Club, right?
Are you talking about the Coyotes?
Yeah. What were they called?
I didn't even know what happened to them. I'm from Arizona, and I saw, and we lost the Coyotes. I was like, oh, that was a bummer. I was actually going to start getting into it. They leave for Utah. I'm
the
fairly
Utah
certain that's
Hockey
where they went.
Club.
And never thought about them again.
Now they're the Mammoth.
Oh, they are. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they just were announced the Mammoth. But the point being is, we had the Washington football team. People made fun of that, but the Athletics, you don't have a home. You're not even going to keep Oakland for the time being. Like, it looks awful. Look at that.
Honestly,
that looks terrible.
I don't even care about this team, just from the simple fact that they're essentially hightailing it over to Vegas. And it's like, when they get to Vegas, it's going to be cool. I think any team that gets there is pretty lucky. It should work in theory.
I don't know why they're not in Vegas. I guess I totally missed that.
Why? Who's not in Vegas?
The A's.
Oh, well, they're just building a stadium. That's all.
But don't they? I mean, they're playing in a minor league stadium, right?
Yes.
So why didn't they play with the Vegas Aces or whatever the hell they're called? Vegas.
Well, I think part of it is that, I mean, I would assume. Well, I think the Vegas Aces aren't anywhere close to like the Strip. I'm not exactly sure where that stadium is, and it doesn't necessarily have to be on the Strip, but it would be a damn shame to be flying Aaron Judge into like some outskirt of Vegas. So I don't know.
I mean, the whole thing is
our comment section right now is arguing about whether or not a player who almost won MVP is better than Volpe. It's quite scary. And Lindor being better than Volpe. I don't think there's a single Yankees fan that's walking this planet that thinks Anthony Volpe's better at baseball than Francisco Lindor.
Lindor is going to have more home runs than any shortstop ever.
Yeah, and we don't even care. I mean, honestly, it's like it's not even on my radar. It's like it's not even a conversation, so I don't worry about it.
No, of course not. Okay, so tomorrow we don't really have a lot to go with right now. No home runs, so we can kind of make up our own. But Rodon is on the mound against JP Sears.
We know Vinny.
5.5. I love that, dude. I love over 5.5. I love it.
Okay, so total strikeout. So essentially, what you're doing is you're wagering that Rodon is going to stay in this game. That's the gist of it. Okay?
Yes, he's going to at least pitch 6 innings. He's getting
technically
a strikeout an inning.
Okay. Technically, the guys for the A's do have decent numbers against him. Not great. The Yankees have much better numbers against Sears than the A's have against Rodon.
Sears is having a really good year, though.
He is having a very good year. He definitely is. I would assume we do see Jasson Dominguez again tomorrow. You're going to see him from the right side. So that's another question mark as we go into the game. And we're excited to see what he does. But the numbers, at least so far this season, say that he's not as strong from that side. We're also probably going to see Goldschmidt against a lefty. Ben Rice, I'm going to assume Ben Rice sits tomorrow. That's my guess.
I mean, that does make some sense. Because, I mean, he's really struggled against lefties. Yeah.
So we're going Yankees to win this game, I take it, as one of our picks. Rodon over, I would agree with you. And then what other pick do we want to do? We want to do 3?
Yeah, let's do... Well, because we'll do dingers for the road as well.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So let's do Rodon over 5.5, guys. And then we're going to just do the game line. We're not going to do the 5 inning. So where is that? Yeah. So we're going to take the Yankees. Money line or run line? I'm going to take the money line. I mean, it could be a close game, but I'm going to take the Yankees. Yeah, I'm going to take the Yankees, Rodon strikeouts, and then we could just do dingers for the road unless there's something that is really calling to you.
You know who I think is going to hit a home run tomorrow? And this may be just off on a limb. I believe everyone questioned, why isn't Cody Bellinger in the lineup? He played well the last few days. He wasn't in there. We saw what happened with Dominguez. It was great. It was fantastic. But Cody Bellinger has reverse splits. His numbers against left-handed pitching are great. Career. You guys can go check all those numbers out. They're there for the taking. I believe Ben Rice is not going to play tomorrow, so that tells me the designated hitter spot is open. I'm going to assume Jasson Dominguez is our DH tomorrow. You've got Bellinger, Grisham, and Judge in your outfield. Cody Bellinger, Cody Pop is going deep.
So I like that. I'm going to take the Yankees run line. So they have to win by 2 runs. And the reason being, I just realized something. JP Sears, in 5 games against the Yankees for his career, he's 0-4. He has a 6.49 ERA. And he has gotten just blasted. He's given up 19 runs in 26 innings. And he's given up 7 home runs.
Wow.
So, I don't know if that changes anything for you, but I think the Yankees are going to win by more than 1 run tomorrow. So, I'm going to go with the Yankee run line. I'm going to say Rodon with the strikeouts. I'm not going to do anything on Sears. I'm just going to check and see the Yankees hitters versus JP Sears, because we already know JP Sears does not like pitching against the Yankees.
No, he doesn't. So I guess the numbers so far this year say that Sears is going to pitch well tomorrow.
Yep.
But the Yankees' long-term data says that they're going to hit Sears. So we're going to ride with the fact that the Yankees long-term have numbers against this player.
Yeah,
That's what it says.
I'm going to go with Jasson Dominguez to hit another home run.
Because we did the opposite of that. Remember with Cease. Dylan Cease had really poor numbers this season. Bad.
But he had great numbers against the Yankees.
Yeah. and we just totally ignored it, and he was just great. He was great.
Yeah.
He looked like Kurt Schilling out there.
I'm pretty sure I saw a game. I'm pretty sure I saw one of the live games JP Sears had against the Yankees. I think it was right after he was traded. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, Jasson Dominguez, I think, is going yard tomorrow.
Again?
Yep.
Hold on a second. Yeah, Mom, you're right. There is a JP Sears. You know there's a JP Sears comedian?
Is he the first one that comes up?
Yes, he's the redhead
he's
dude.
Not.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he is.
Nothing like him.
No, he does not look like JP Sears, but has the exact same name. So we're going
Wait,
Yankees
I've seen
to
that
win.
guy before.
Yes, you have.
Just didn't
So
know
the
his
Yankees
name.
to win by multiple runs. That's one pick. We're going
so-
Rodon over 4.5, or is it 5.5?
5.5.
Over
So we need
5.5.
six strikeouts for Rodon.
Okay.
2+ run lead in the win for the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And then you took home run for, I don't know why I
Bellinger?
said that in the most illiterate way. You took home run. You took a home run for Bellinger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking one for Jasson Dominguez. I want to see, has Cody Bellinger faced JP?
He has
Sears
not.
before?
No.
Okay. Interesting.
Not going to matter. He's in a bomb.
It doesn't matter. And Jasson Dominguez is hitting 333 against him. 2 strikeouts and an RBI base knock. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Jasson Dominguez to stay red hot and hit another bomb. I feel like his home run total doesn't make any sense right now. And I think that's going to change. So,
Okay.
that's what
We'll
we're
see.
doing. So, guys,
Anything else?
I think that's going to do it. Be sure to check out Profit X, whether it's the web right here on the website or via the app. Be sure to use code YANKSU when you sign up. And also, be sure to check it out tomorrow. The game is at 4, I believe. So 4:05. But be sure to check this out tomorrow when it updates so you can actually put something down on the home run. So dingers for the road. In case you guys missed it, Cody Bellinger and Jasson Dominguez. And that's what we got. So hope you guys enjoy it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And Gary, what are they putting in the comment section below?
Honestly, nothing. Just like the video. That's it.
Okay, just put that Jasson Dominguez was here. Okay, there you go.